Hi there and welcome to the 110% Training Attendance Programme. This is Workshop 1 where we're going to cover why we aim for 110% attendance and how the DNA model helps us get there. In this workshop we're going to cover the impact of poorly attended training courses, what I mean by 110% attendance. We're going to cover the DNA model in detail and how the rest of the program is structured through the workshops that we're running. We're then going to do an exercise around the return on investment of training attendance, and then I'm going to set you some actions to complete before the next workshop. So just before we get started, for those of you that don't know me, my name's Alexis Kingsbury. That's a picture of me there. I own 3 businesses, all focused on improving the performance of teams and employees. And hopefully you've seen the Making Greatness logo on some of the materials up to this point. That's the business that is targeted at helping people such as yourself who are responsible for developing employees to help their employees to be great, and specifically through this program to do so by increasing training attendance. I've worked with hundreds of business, HR and L&D leaders over the years from a real variety of organisations around the world, including AstraZeneca, Britvic, Fitness First, Sony, Cisco, TUI, New Look, you name it. So there's a lot of organisations I've worked with, as I say, from all around the world. Got a lot of experience in different industries and as I say, different segments. On a more personal note, I live in Stamford, which is a relatively small town or indeed a large town, not a city, about 20,000 people in England, about 100 miles north of London, and I live there with my wife Sarah and my little boy Ethan. So that's enough about me. Let's now find out a bit more about you. So what I'd particularly like to know is what's your role, what organisation that you're holding that role for, so who you're working with, and your top reason for attending this program, or indeed being interested in improving training attendance. So we're going to take a quick pause. I'd like to provide that in the chat in the Q&A section of this e-workshop, so we can see who we've got. So let's get started then. So let's start off with the impact of poorly attended training courses. So why does this matter? Well, first off, let's realise that your employees don't actually want to go on training courses. Seriously. Unless you're providing some amazing food or a party, they don't want a training course. Instead, employees want to get promoted, make more sales, feel happier, work on cool stuff, help others, reduce their stress, all sorts of things that they want to achieve. And they want to learn how to achieve those things. But that doesn't necessarily mean a course. And it was Winston Churchill that said, "Personally, I'm always ready to learn, although I do not always like being taught." And I think we can all identify with that. It's we're as learning professionals ourselves, we're generally really passionate about our continuing professional development, but often it irks us the way in which some others want to provide that material to us and to teach it to us. The key is that we want to learn and that we want to achieve our goals and be happier and more successful people, but that doesn't mean necessarily that we just want to attend training courses. So as someone who's responsible for helping your employees to learn, you need them to attend training and utilize development resources, despite the fact that that's not their primary goal. And of course, if employees don't attend, then it hurts them because they want to be more successful but aren't learning how, and they want to learn but aren't getting access to the best resources. It also hurts your organisation as it costs time and money to run courses that people don't attend, And of course, it costs them in the missed opportunity, as that if their employees aren't learning, if your organisation's employees aren't learning how to improve performance, then you're missing out on that, and should be doing. It also hurts you, you feel bad when people don't enroll or show up, and indeed, as will the trainers or whoever is also involved in running that course. But also you and your team will lower your belief in the quality of what you provide and the potential results you can achieve, as if people don't seem to be showing interest in your courses and the materials you have available, then you're likely to believe that they're not worth as much. Over time, that's likely to mean that you'll become less important and less significant to the success of employees in the organisation, as if they're not attending the courses and resources that you provide, then you're not having as great an impact. And managers are then likely to start to wonder what return they're getting for their investment in L&D. And I've seen some really sad examples of where this has happened in teams, even with some really, really good managers, but just where they were being undermined by what they saw as being a lack of commitment, but ultimately it was declining training attendance. So this really can become a downward spiral as things just get worse and worse, and that's because poor training attendance results in poorer training attendance. The way that works is that we start off by not getting as many people attending as we'd like. By virtue of not having that many people there, it means that you're not able to show as many results and success stories. As a result, managers are likely to question the return on investment if it doesn't appear to be getting results. They then won't encourage employees to attend courses necessarily, and the perceived value of the next training course, the next sessions drops, which then results in even poorer training attendance. So this can spiral down, and the relevance and the importance of L&D can do so as a result. So ensuring you fill your courses is really important. But in this program, I'm not going to stop there, because I'm going to be going for 110% attendance. So let's now cover what I mean by that. Because we've covered why you should aim for good attendance. And I suppose, actually, before I say 110%, I should say why 100%. Well, if you've got 90% attendance, 90, that's really good. I should say that is really good. I've seen plenty of examples where it's down at 50%, 40% or lower, and so 90% rate is really good. However, that still means that for every 10 training sessions or courses that you run, you need to run one extra one to cover the total number of people that you could have covered if you had 100% attendance. And that's costing you that extra 10% of your budget, your time, your energy to do that. And imagine what you could do with that extra session if everyone had already attended the others. You might run a masterclass that went into more detail on the specific concept that you'd covered. Or maybe you'd run a workshop on putting it into action to help people really get the results that the course promises. Or maybe you might just cover an entirely new topic based on what you need to cover next. So that's 100%, but as you'll be saying to me, didn't I say 110%? And worry not. I do have a management science degree background. I understand how statistics work, and the reason I say 110% is probably sort of explained through a couple of quotes I'm going to show you. The first is from Belton by Deloitte, where they said that L&D is no longer the place for learning. Their role is to facilitate and enable learning. L&D teams should build skills in performance consulting, gain expertise in new technologies, including social and mobile, and work to cultivate strong learning cultures within their organisation. That's quite complex. In other words, that means that the role of L&D is not to teach one group, but to help all employees to learn. Now, obviously, that means first we should aim for 100% attendance in the room, or whatever form you've got that, whether it's e-learning or whatever. But then we should aim for attendees to share what they learn with others. So we're helping the whole organisation to learn, not just those that attended. So 110% attendance is my way of saying that we're going to aim to help at least 1 in 10 attendees share what they learned with at least one other person. Now, you could, or perhaps should, aim for more. You could argue that perhaps 200% wouldn't be crazy, because you could get all of the people who have attended the course to go back to their teams and present what they've learned, or indeed at least just finding a few advocates that might run their own sessions with their own teams and increase that drastically. So that's why I say 110%, and indeed you shouldn't see that as a limit, but certainly it's expressing an aim to not just teach or indeed help the individuals that attend to learn, but to spread that learning across the organisation and really leverage the content and the lessons that you're providing. So now that we've covered why it's important to improve training attendance and what I mean by 110% training attendance, I'm now going to cover the DNA model, which is a model I developed based on best practice that I was seeing around getting people onto external training courses and taking those lessons and making them appropriate for use with internal training courses and programs. Now, if you're on this program and you're not primarily looking at learning and development initiatives for inside your organisation, this will still be appropriate, but there's some other things that you're able to do that aren't as appropriate in learning roles, and indeed some areas in which you can go further. Feel free to contact me, and I can share other resources. This program is primarily for L&D professionals that are working on internal programs, so programs that are being delivered for employees within an organisation. So that's what my DNA model focuses on, and I'm next going to give you a bit of an overview and then cover that model in detail. So the DNA model. So it's the DNA model because it stands for the 3 steps, which are desire, network, and amplify. So in the first step, this is about, in desire, this is about creating, communicating an irresistible offering that employees would be happy to travel miles and pay vast amounts to attend. But they're not going to need to, of course, but we're going to create that level of desire that means that they're really keen to enroll and certainly wouldn't miss their chance to attend. In step 2, we're going to use the power of the network. So we're going to set up the processes and mechanisms to ensure that 100% of spaces on your courses are filled and attended. And there's a variety of ways in which we can do that, which I'll cover shortly. And then step 3 is to amplify. So taking what we've already done to that point, delivering incredible value through the training courses and so on, in a way that causes employees to share what they learn with others, resulting in our 110% training attendance, and also that they'll help fill your next course, so that you're going to get that this whole process is going to become easier every time you do it. So let's go into each of those steps in a little bit more detail. So starting with step 1 around desire, how are we going to create that irresistible offering and create that desire? So the first key to doing this is to sell the end benefit. So rather than trying to sell the course itself, for example, come on our presentation skills course, instead we're going to focus on the benefit that the attendee gets as a result, whether it's making more sales or feeling less embarrassed in public speaking situations. So they're really passionate about what they're getting from this course. The second key is to provide social proof. And that can come in many forms, but essentially this is about making sure that people who are attending the courses, or that you're encouraging to attend the courses, don't feel like this is sort of untested and so on. They need to feel like not only can they see a big benefit from attending, but they can see that others have had that benefit and that there are real results from that. And in the next workshop, we're going to be covering lots of ways in which you can do that and within your organisations. The third key to establishing this desire is to create urgency. So rather than providing these courses in a take it or leave it approach, that means that people are sort of welcome to just sit back and sort of leave it to the last minute to enroll and then not worry too much as to whether they attend. We're going to make it so that people really want to act quickly to enroll on your courses, and that are then keen to make sure that they don't lose their place as well. And again, there's lots of ways we can do that, and we'll cover that in workshop 2. So that's as I say, we'll cover that specific area around why desire is important and those 3 keys in the next workshop. So step 2 then is the N of the DNA model, which is the network. So to set up these processes to ensure that 100% of your courses are filled and attended, the first key is to utilize experts and managers. So and there's a range of ways in which we can do this, but essentially the aim is to avoid you having to be the sole champion of your courses. And instead we're going to utilize experts in the content that you're delivering, and also the managers and leaders around the business, so that they're promoting the course as much as or indeed more than you are, so that you're having to do less work to get people excited about the course and to enroll on it. The second key is getting referrals. So rather than just saying, okay, well, we've got an employee, they've enrolled on the course, that's great, now we need to get others, actually using those employees and their managers to identify people that are similar to them that would also benefit from this content. And there's a range of ways in which we can do that in a really easy automated way that means that you're not having to do a load of extra work. And again, we'll cover that in workshop 3. And the third key is to remind people to attend, and that's stated in a very gentle way, but actually there's the picture probably describes it better. We're going to make sure that there's no way that someone can forget not only that the training course is going on, but the big benefits for why they're going, the social proof that of other people that have experienced the results, and really sort of leveraging everything that we've done to this point to make sure that people are really passionate about attending. And again, there's loads of tactics for doing that that we're going to cover in a workshop 3, along with why the network is particularly important, and some other things that you can do as well. So step 3, the A of the DNA model, is to amplify, and that's about delivering that incredible value that causes employees to share what they learn and help fill your next course. We're going to do that through 3 keys again, the first being to delight through value. So we're not just going to deliver a normal training course, we're going to make sure that the course is designed in such a way that attendees are really delighted by what they see, that they provide amazing testimonials and are keen to recommend that other people go on the course too. The second key is to make it easy to share, so not just making it that you get referrals and that you can use those testimonials, but actually that the content itself and the actions and exercises that you give attendees is set up in a way that makes that content easy for it to be shared across the organisation, so that we can get that 110% attendance we talked about earlier, with people learning from others in the organisation. And then the third key is about spiraling upward, and this encapsulates a whole range of tactics for making sure that the work that you've done to this point actually A, becomes easier next time round, but B, becomes even more effective next time round. So this includes some ways of getting mega referrals that lead to you filling your next course, using the testimonials that you've got from people who have attended to work as even better social proof, and also using the feedback that you get to frame up the benefit that they get even better as well. So there's lots of tactics in there, but essentially that's going to help you take the role of learning and development upward and become more significant, more important, and more recognised in the organisation. So that we're going to cover those areas in more detail in workshop 4. And then the rest of the program is predominantly made of those. Those next 3 sessions where we'll cover the concept and the how to do it with lots of examples. We'll do some exercises so that we make sure that everyone's understood exactly what each key is about and how to put it into practice. And then we'll actually plan actions for you to take in your organizations to put it into practice and see real results. Once we've had those next 3 workshops, the final workshop, workshop number 5, is where we'll look at some common obstacles and how to overcome them. We'll ensure that you've got a clear plan of making the improvements in the long term in your organisations, and we'll also make sure that you've got access to additional help if needed. So hopefully that's been really useful. We've covered quite a lot of content there, and as you can see, we've got a lot to cover over the next few workshops. To help tee up the power of what we're going to be doing and help you to track the impact that you can have, we're going to now do an exercise on the return on investment of training attendance. So what I'd like you to do is take out a piece of paper and write the name of a typical training session or course that your organisation is running soon or is in the process of running. So for example, a presentation skills course. Once you've done that, below that, write the numbers 1 to 4 in a list, like in the example that you can see on the screen. Okay. And then once you've done that, against each of the numbers, we're going to estimate some costs. So against number 1, I want you to estimate the cost of the trainer's time. So I don't know how many people you've got running that session, but if it was 2 and that session lasted 2 hours, times that by some kind of estimate for the cost of their time. So for example, you might say, oh well, I know it's $1,000 an hour because of how much you pay them or whatever, but think about the sort of cost associated with having them in, and it will depend on the sorts of training that you're providing and whether it's in-house and so on, but come up with some kind of estimation of the cost. Then for against number 2, estimate the cost of the room, the equipment, any software that you use. And you might be thinking, oh, well, we've got, if you're using an existing meeting room, then maybe that's free. But it's not really free, because obviously that meeting room could be used for other things. And so there is some cost there. Obviously, this cost will be higher if you do have to hire external rooms from hotels or whatever. So provide some kind of estimation the cost of the equipment and room and so on there. Then against number 3, identify what's the cost of promoting the course. So in terms of the time and materials used. So this might be your time or the time of your team in terms of writing creating posters or writing emails or intranet pages or whatever that are explaining what the course is about. And again, apply some kind of cost for that time to come up with some kind of estimate for that. And then finally, for number 4, identify what would be the cost of administering the course and performing follow-up. So if you think that takes about 3 hours and you value your time at $200 an hour, be $600. So what's the estimated cost of administering it? One thing to highlight is that you may be looking at, depending on your approach and experience, you might be looking at some of the cost per hour amounts that I've put in here and saying, oh, that's very high and we pay people less than that. The key is to remember it's the value of their time. So it's not just the cost of what it actually costs to pay them physically as in terms of payroll as their gross pay, but you've got all the costs associated with that, so hiring them and managing them and training them and keeping them in the organization, but also you've got the cost of what they're not working on. So make sure you're not undervaluing people's time, because it's one of the most expensive resources that you've got when you're calculating the estimated cost here. So I'll just give you a little longer to to come up with those, and they don't need to be 100% accurate. This is, it doesn't matter, just to the nearest nearest thousands is fine. Okay. So once you've got an idea of that, sum up the costs and write down the total underneath that list. Depending on how precise your figures are, you may need to get a calculator out. But once you've got your total, I want you to then estimate how many courses that you run each year on a variety of topics, including this one. So essentially, if you've identified a presentation skills course and you run 30 others a bit like this, so not quite one a week, then the answer's 30. If broadly you're running multiple courses per week, which I'd probably expect that for most of you, based on the roles and organisations I can see you're from, you might be running 3 or 4 or even 5 per week, and as a result you're likely to be more in the 250 a year category. So identify broadly how many you're running and times that by the total that you've added up from the 4 items above. And then once you've done that, divide that grand total by 10. So in my example, you can see I had a total of $117,000 for the sort of annual cost of running that training. Divide that by 10 is $11,700. Now, that result, that figure, whatever you've ended up with there, that is the absolute minimum value of a 10% increase in training attendance across your courses. So if you could increase training attendance by just 10%, that is the absolute minimum value of what you would be getting back in terms of the benefit of doing that. Now, the true return on investment is likely to be at least 5 times, but probably more like 50 times that amount. And the reason is because that full return on investment needs to include the benefit of improved performance from employees. For example, if you're providing a sales training workshop, you wouldn't expect to only get the value of the course itself, the cost of the course itself, but also the increased sales that those attendees are making. It might be that actually one of the biggest benefits is improved retention through employee satisfaction. Perhaps going on team building courses and so on means they're more likely to stay, which means you're not having to pay for churn. Or it might be a reduced cost through increased efficiency. If, for example, you're running lean training, helping people to reduce the costs involved in the processes that they perform. And of course in new innovations. So if you're providing courses that help people to come up with new products or new ways of doing things that mean that they're able to generate more sales or again reduce costs. So as I say, that number that we came up with is not your ROI. It's much less than your true ROI. But hopefully that figure should be more than a few $100s, and in fact, I'd like you now to share that number, that value of 10% increase number into the Q&A panel, so that we can see the sorts of numbers there. Fantastic, thank you very much. Very good. Okay, so a couple of answers there, but that's okay. Yeah. Yes, it can. So we've got an example there where it is really difficult to estimate, and it depends a lot on the course delivery. And you could do this more accurately. This is more about giving you a sort of general feel of what's the scale of value, or what's the scale of the cost that training attendance is costing you. But certainly you could do more accurate figures if you got very specific about which courses you're talking about. Very good. Okay. Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you very much for sharing those. If you're in a situation, I mean, we haven't had any on this session, but if you're, if you're in a situation where that value, that number that you've come up with is less than $250, let's say, then you should be questioning whether this program is right for you. There are lots of really good reasons why you might still want to improve training attendance, but if return on investment, if the cost advantages was your key reason, and yet the number that you've just calculated is $250 or less, then contact me, let me know. I'll take you off the program. I'll refund your money in full, because you won't get as much value. But certainly in everyone that's responded in the Q&A, that isn't a problem. It looks like there's plenty of opportunity for getting a return on investment from this program, but also there's going to be loads of other benefits as well. We've already talked about the fact that your role and the role of L&D is one of the big benefits as well. Okay, thanks very much for taking part in that exercise. I want to highlight a quote that's is often attributed to Peter Drucker or Tom Peters. I'm yet to find who a credible source for who actually said this quote, but what gets measured gets done. So it's really important that we do measure things like training attendance if we want to improve them, because over time, as we measure it, we expect to see an improvement. And so if you aren't already, I want you to start tracking the attendance at your courses and try to calculate the amount of money in the way that we've just done is wasted through poor attendance. So that's a bit of homework for you, but or something that I'd like you to do in the long term. But now let's cover some actions that I'd like to complete before the next workshop, so that you get the most out of the next workshop that we'll be running on desire. So I'd like you to review the last 10 training courses or sessions that you ran and look specifically at what percentage attendance you attained at each. And again, it can be an estimate if you haven't got the exact figures. But when we say that percentage of attendance, I'm looking for what number of people who learned the content divided by the number of places that you advertised. So if you said that there were 30 places available and you got 15 people who turned up and learned that content, then that would be a 50% attendance. And again, I'll emphasize that's places advertised. So that's how many people, how many places you said are available on the course. Then for the lowest 2 or 3 courses on that list based on percentage training attendance, gather up the materials that we use to promote that course, because in the next workshop we're going to be focusing on desire. So you remember the 3 keys, which were selling the end benefit, using social proof, and creating urgency. So we're going to be looking at the materials that you used for those lowest attended courses and looking at how we could have improved those, the promotion of those to increase enrollments and start to increase attendance. So that's the end of the content for this workshop. Now I'd like to open up for some Q&A. So if you've got some questions, if you can post your question in the Q&A panel of the workshop, and then we'll take each one in turn. You can, of course, go alone on this, but it's a lot easier and a lot more fun with others. So as a result, I urge you to ask questions and share your experience on our social pages. I'll be there too, and we'll do my best to help and answer any questions you've got. Let me know how you're getting on, any issues that you have with the actions that I've set you, and I look forward to seeing you at the next workshop. Thank you very much, and have a great day.